In 2022 alone, Malaysia spent a staggering 33.3 billion ringgit Malaysia on fuel subsidies, more than the entire Ministry of Health's annual budget. At first glance, subsidy seems like a blessing. Cheaper petrol, happier citizens. But beneath the surface, a burning question emerged. Are Malaysia's fuel subsidies truly fueling fairness, or igniting a fiscal fire that threatens our future? As our nation moves toward fiscal reforms, climate goals and economic resilience, it is crucial to rethink a policy that impacts every Malaysian, every time we refuel our vehicles. In this documentary, we will explore the evolution of Malaysia's fuel subsidies, uncover the hidden costs and consequences, and present the possible pathways toward a fairer, more sustainable future.
The story of fuel subsidies in Malaysia began in the 1970s. Back then, subsidies were introduced to shield low-income households from volatile global oil prices, supporting national development and economic stability. For decades, this policy helped drive Malaysia's growth. So, petrol was cheap, businesses flourished, and families could stretch their incomes. But by the 2000s and 2010s, a new reality surfaced. As Malaysian economy expanded, the cost of maintaining blanket subsidies soared. The government found itself spending billions to keep petrol prices artificially low, a heavy burden on national finances. In fact, by 2022, fuel subsidies accounted for nearly 12.7% of government revenue, worsening budget deficit and squeezing spending on the vital sector like healthcare and education. Even more alarming, fuel subsidies are regressive. Studies show that the top 20% of income earners by T20 receive over half of the benefit, while the bottom 40%, B40, the one who need it most, receive only a fraction. Globally, Malaysia ranks among the countries with the cheapest petrol, cheaper even than many oil-producing nations. Recognizing the urgent need for reform, leaders like Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, together with the Ministry of Finance and economists from institutions like World Bank, are now pushing for a rationalization of Malaysian fuel subsidy system. The question remains, how can we fix a system so deeply entrenched in our national identity without leaving a vulnerable behind?
At the heart of Malaysia fuel subsidies dilemma lies a raging fiscal fire, one that, if left unchecked, threatens to consume our nation's financial future. Fuel subsidy, once a shield for the poor, have now ballooned into a heavy burden. In 2018, Malaysia spent 7.4 billion in fuel subsidy. By 2022, that figure exploded to 37.3 billion, nearly 5 times higher. This growing expense fueled a widening national debt, crowding out vital investment in healthcare, education, and infrastructure. The blanket nature of this subsidy makes matters worse. With no differentiate between rich and poor consumers, subsidy become inefficient, vulnerable to smuggling, and lead to massive wastage. The injustice runs deeper. 53% of fuel subsidy go to the wealthiest 20% of Malaysians, those who drive larger fuel guzzling vehicles. Meanwhile, the bottom 40%, the very people subsidy were meant to protect, receive just 50% of the benefit. Fuel means for the needy, fuel the lifestyle of the affluent instead.
Beyond the fiscal finance, Malaysia's subsidy policy fuels another silent crisis. Malaysia's transportation sector accounts for 28% of total carbon emission. Cheap petrol encourages overconsumption, more cars on the road, and higher emissions. In the past decade, Malaysia's petrol consumption soared by 45% per capita, while our neighbour moved toward greener alternatives. Despite government incentive, less than 1% of vehicles sold by in 2022 were electric. The government recent removal diesel subsidy in the mid-2024 offered a stark warning. Transportation costs spiked. Small business like a fisherman, market vendors and the school bus operators fell the pinch instantly. Despite measures like the Budi program, gaps remain. Many vulnerable groups like NGO, workers and the owner of older vehicles were left behind. Malaysia fuel subsidy, once a tool of fairness, now risks becoming a firestorm, burning public funds, widening inequality, and accelerating environmental harm.
As Malaysia stands at a policy crossroad, experts across the public and academic sector are weighing on one of the nation's most controversial reports.
Introducing the expert that we interview for his opinion, Tuan Muhammad Shahran bin Muhammad Arshad, Deputy Director or Chief State Enforcement Officer Ministry of Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur.
Kerajaan telah mengumumkan rancangan untuk merasionalisasikan subsidi RON95. Bolehkah Tuan terangkan motivasi utama di sebalik langkah ini dan apakah hasil yang ingin dicapai oleh kerajaan?
So, menjawab kepada soalan Cik Amir tadi berkenaan dengan motivasi tadi, yang pertama sekali, objektif utama dia adalah memastikan majoriti rakyat tadi kekal menerima subsidi petrol tadi lah. And then dalam masa yang sama kita nak mengenai ketirisan macam saya kata tadi, ada juga di negeri-negeri yang berhampiran dengan sempadan. So ada kenderaan-kenderaan asing yang mengisi minyak petrol RON95 tu kan. Walhal diorang ni sepatutnya layak untuk RON97, yang mana RON97 memang kita tak ada bagi subsidi lah. And then sebenarnya langkah-langkah ni juga sebenarnya dapat menjimatkan orang kata apa, perbelanjaan kerajaan, yang mana lebih kurang kita anggarkan sebanyak 8 bilion setahun kerajaan boleh jimat kalau kita buat rasionalisasi petrol ni tadi. Kan? Dalam masa yang sama kita juga boleh menurunkan defisit fiskal negara kepada 3.8%, kalau ikut yang tahun sebelum ni 4.1. So itu antara motivasi ataupun perkara-perkara yang kerajaan cuba perkenalkan untuk memastikan yang subsidi ni tadi sampai kepada golongan yang memerlukan.
Rakyat masih lagi bimbang, terutamanya berkaitan kesan terhadap golongan pendapatan rendah dan keadaan inflasi. Apakah langkah yang telah dijalankan untuk memastikan peralihan ini dilaksanakan secara adil dan terkawal?
Okey, pertama sekali kita faham tentang kebimbangan rakyat tadi, especially yang kita sebut tadi golongan B40 dan juga M40 tadilah dengan kadar inflasi tadi tu kan. So justru itu kerajaan telah merangka beberapa langkah lah yang untuk membantu meringankan beban rakyat. Terutama sekali bila kita tengok, bila kita sebut pasal isu kenaikan kos sara hidup dan sebagainya. So antaranya kerajaan telah menentukan hampir lebih kurang dalam 13 bilion setahun bagi inisiatif sumbangan tunai rahmah yang kita sebut STR tu kan, dan juga sumbangan asas rahmah SARA yang tadi tu, dalam usaha untuk kita nak bantu rakyat tadi dalam mengenai isu-isu yang berkaitan dengan kos sara hidup lah. Kemudian kerajaan juga memerlukan lebih kurang dalam 300 juta bagi pelaksanaan inisiatif payung rahmah, dan lebih kurang dalam 700 juta untuk program mengawal harga barangan. Yang ni memang antara usaha-usaha yang kerajaan buat bagi mengenai orang kata isu-isu yang berkaitan dengan kos sara hidup tadi lah. So kita harapkan dengan adanya program-program macam ni tadi, secara tak langsung ianya dapat meringankan lah beban-beban rakyat, yang mana kita rasa dalam keadaan sekarang ni mungkinlah akan sedikit terkesan dengan pelaksanaan rasionalisasi subsidi diesel, rasionalisasi subsidi petrol pula akan datang kan. So diharapkan benda-benda yang kerajaan buat ni tadi ni akan dapat membantu sedikit mengurangkan beban tu. Di samping akan datang mungkin lagi akan ada lagi kaedah-kaedah lain yang dipikirkan perlu yang boleh dilaksanakan oleh kerajaan bagi meringankan kos sara hidup rakyat ni.
In the end, the real challenge isn't just about cutting costs. It's about designing a system that is economically sound, socially just, and politically sustainable.
Outside of government, policy analysts have proposed alternative approaches. Quotes from Jeffrey Williams: subsidy targeting should be based on consumption, not income. A tiered system like our electricity billing will be fairer and easier to implement. while Institute of Capital Market Research believe that before nationwide reform, test it first. Pilot studies and randomized trials could prevent backlash. Therefore, while experts agree that reform is necessary, opinions vary widely on the best way forward. Fairness versus simplicity, speed versus stability, or savings versus social impact.
With growing pressure on public finance and fairness in question, the path forward must be bold, but carefully considered. Experts and policy makers have proposed several strategies to reform Malaysia fuel subsidy system. First, a targeted approach, where the subsidies are allocated based on either engine capacity or volume consumed. For instance, smaller vehicle or for the first 10 litre of fuel could receive a full subsidy, while the luxury cars and high volume user pay market price. This system is already used for electricity billing and is more equitable than income-based targeting. Second, a gradual fuel price increase, raised by 10 to 20 cents every few months, combined with the direct cash transfer to the B40 and M40 groups. This method cushions the impact of higher fuel prices while still reducing the government fiscal burden. According to the Dare think tank, such a shift could save billions, with more targeted assistance reaching those who truly need it. Third, experts urge the government to conduct pilot program or randomize the trial before launching any national reform. This approach allows policymakers to monitor real-life effect, adjust mechanism, and avoid major disruption, like those we seen during the diesel subsidy removal. If executed thoughtfully, subsidy reform can lead to lower deficit, better targeted aids, and progress toward greener, fairer Malaysia.
Fuel subsidies have powered Malaysia for decades, lifting lives, reducing costs, and driving development. But today, that same engine of support has begun to overheat. Billions are spent, fairness is questioned, and the environment continues to bear the cost. Malaysia now stands at a crossroads. Do we continue fueling fiscal fire? Or do we rise to the challenge and rethink our subsidy strategy for fairness, sustainability, and the future?